Hello, my dear students of first secondary grade. Hello, a new episode, and today we are going to complete what we have started last time. We were talking about genetic inheritance and diseases. Remember, the somatic cells in human body is composed of or contains chromosomes, and these chromosomes are 46 chromosomes and divided into two groups: autosomes and 6 chromosomes. In male human being, the male chromosomes are 44 autosomes and XY, 6 chromosomes, and in the female, 44 autosomes and the 6 chromosomes are XX. And remember, during the gamete formation, the gametes should contain half the number of chromosomes, half the number of autosomes, and the 6 chromosomes. So the male gametes, the sperms, are either 22 autosomes plus X or 22 autosomes plus Y. But the female gametes, the ova, are 22 plus X. For some reasons, and sometimes the gametes contain more chromosomes or less chromosomes, and this is due to the error which may occur during the gamete formation. And during gamete formation, the homologous chromosomes remain adhering to each other, and they go to one gamete. So this gamete will contain one more chromosome than the normal, or the other gamete may contain less chromosomes, one less chromosome, so it will be abnormal gamete. But if these gametes fuse together, they will produce abnormal case. Let's study the first one: abnormal chromosomal cases in humans. We are studying now the adhering of 6 chromosomes, and the 6 chromosomes XX may remain adhering to each other and go to one gamete. As you see in this picture, the autosomes are normal, but look at the 6 chromosomes. They are X, X, and Y. And this is due to the fusion of gamete containing 22 plus XX plus 22 plus Y. So the first gamete has one sex chromosome more than the normal, and the resulted individual will contain 44 autosomes and XXY. What is the type of this individual? What is the sex of this individual? Yes, he is male, because he contains Y chromosome, but he is not normal male. The symptoms of this Klinefelter syndrome are a sterile male and appearance of some feminine characteristics like growth of the breasts and tallness. So this is abnormal case. Let's see how this case was formed. The 44 chromosomes, autosomes, and X chromosome, XX, and 44 autosomes plus XY. As we said, in some cases, the 6 chromosomes adhere to each other. So the gametes will be 22 plus XX in one gamete, and the other gamete will be 22 plus nothing, 0. And the male will be 22 plus X or 22 plus this gamete fuses with this gamete. After fertilization, the produced individual will be Klinefelter syndrome. The Klinefelter syndrome has 44 autosomes plus XXY. And this is the first abnormal case. The second abnormal case is called Turner syndrome. And the Turner syndrome has one chromosome less than normal, 45 chromosomes. And this is due to the fusion of a gamete 22 plus 0 or no sex chromosomes plus 22 plus X. So the resulted individual will be 44 plus X0 or X, one X chromosome. And she is female, of course, because there is no Y chromosome. The symptoms of this case are shortness, and this female does not reach the puberty, and presence of some congenital defects in the heart and kidneys. So these are the symptoms of the Turner syndrome. She is female. And this occurs, as we say, as we see here, if this gamete fuses with this gamete, so the resulted individual will be 44 plus X chromosome, so one X chromosome, and she is Turner syndrome. And the Turner syndrome, the genotype or the chromosomal number is 44 plus X or X0, it's okay. So these are the abnormal cases resulted from the adhering of sex chromosomes, and sometimes the sex chromosomes increase in number in case of Klinefelter, or decrease in number in case of Turner syndrome. But what happens if the autosomes adhere to each other and they do not separate? Actually, we have a case called Down syndrome, and the Down syndrome contains 46 chromosomes in each cell, and this increase in number, this chromosome, the excess chromosome, is not due to the presence of excess X chromosomes or sex chromosomes, but it is due to the presence of one autosome more than the normal in the pair 21. So the pair 21 is not a pair, they are 3 chromosomes. It occurs due to gamete containing 22 plus X or plus Y, and the other gamete containing 23 chromosomes in the autosomes and X or Y. So a sperm or an ovum with extra autosome number 21. And these are the individuals that we all know. We see them quite often in our society. And these chromosomes for the female are 45 plus XX, or in the male 45 plus XY. So the excess chromosome is the autosome number 21. The symptoms of this case: a retarded growth, shortness, oval face, flat back of the head, fingers and toes are short, small ears, convex eyes, and mental retardation. Actually, my dear students, we must not think of these individuals they are mistaken, because it's out of their hands. They are created like this. So we have to respect them and don't speak about them hardly or badly. We have another title in our syllabus, and this title is Six-Linked Traits. Actually, there are many cases that are related or has something to do with the sex. Sex-linked traits and sex influenced traits and sex limited traits. Let's start with the sex-linked traits. The sex-linked traits means the genes present on the sex chromosomes. So we are going to talk about the sex chromosomes, X and Y. So these genes locate on sex chromosomes, and we have an example here. Morgan, a scientist called Morgan, studied the inheritance of eye color in an insect called Drosophila, or fruit fly. The fruit fly or Drosophila contains genes, and these genes give the color of the eye. It could be red or white. Actually, the red is dominant gene. And when he carried out crossing between a female containing pure genes for red eyes with a male containing white eyes, he got this result. Have a look to this picture. We resemble the gene which is R capital found on the chromosome X, and R capital with the male containing R small Y. And remember that the X chromosome contains two types of genes. The first type is related to the sex characteristics, or responsible for the sex characteristics, and the other group of genes on the X chromosome are responsible for some of the body characteristics. But the Y chromosome doesn't contain any genes except for sex determination. This is why we put letters on the X chromosomes and not on the Y chromosome. So the individual here possesses one gene, and if this gene is dominant, he becomes or carries the dominant character, or if the gene is recessive, so the individual will carry the recessive character, and no other gene on the other sex chromosome. As normal, we get the gametes, one of the two sex chromosomes, because remember, the gametes contain half the number of chromosomes, half the number of autosomes, and half the number of the sex chromosomes. So this gamete will contain only one sex chromosome with capital R, and the other individual will have two types of gametes, one containing X chromosome with small r, and the other one contains Y, which doesn't carry the genes for eye color. And after fusion of the gametes or fertilization, the first generation will be R capital, R small for the females, and R capital Y for the males. And this, of course, gives the character, the dominant character for the all individuals in the first generation. So the females and males are all having red eyes. So 100% of them carrying the red eyes. After crossing two individuals of the first generation, and as usual, we get the gametes R capital in one gamete and R small in another gamete, and for the male R capital Y, and we get the second generation R capital carried on sex chromosomes X. So this is a female. Yes, she is a sorry, it is a female carrying pure character R capital, and R capital R small for another female. It is also red-eyed, and R capital Y, it is a male, and R small Y. And as you see, in the second generation, for all individuals appear in the second generation, they are 3 red-eyed to 1 white-eyed. But for the females are all red-eyed. Some of them are pure and some of them are hybrid. So all of them 100% red for the female. But what about the male? 50% red and 50% white, because one of them carries one capital R or the dominant gene, and the other one carries the recessive gene. So my dear students, bear in mind that we have different ratios, or we count them in different ways. If the problem asks for the percentage of all individuals in second generation, we will follow Mendels law, 3 to 1, 3 dominant to 1 recessive. But if the problem asks for the ratio of the males, so we will notice that the males are 50% red-eyed and 50% white-eyed. Let's have another example in humans. Some recessive characters, such as the hemophilia. It is a disease of inability to form clots after cutting the blood vessels, so it may lead to death. Color blindness, also recessive character. Short-sightedness, and the muscle atrophy. And this muscle atrophy is actually, it is a lethal gene in humans. The father possesses the genes of these traits and passes them to the daughters, but not to his sons, because the father contains X and Y, and the X chromosome goes to the female or the daughter, and the Y chromosome goes to the male. And since the Y chromosome doesn't carry these genes, or the genes for body characteristics, so these genes do not pass to the sons, but only to the daughters. And we can do this experiment, or this process of inheritance, as we did in the Drosophila. For color blindness, we have X, and X, Y. The female, this is the female, and the female carries dominant gene for normal eye and recessive gene for color blind eye, and the male carries one gene, one recessive gene. By getting the gametes, the first one with capital X, capital C, and the other X with small c, the male gametes X with small c and Y with no genes. And now, after fertilization, we will get, in the first generation, we get capital C, small c, capital C and Y, capital C, small c, and small c. So in this case, we will have, yes, and this is female, and she is normal, and this is a female, and she is diseased, and this is male normal, and the other male is diseased. And this disease is color blind, and this disease is color blind. And the color blindness disease is inability to differentiate between red and green colors. Another example in linked genes or the six-linked traits, the example of hemophilia, which is the inability to form clotting. So he will bleed until death. It is caused by a recessive gene carried on the chromosomes X, which causes a case of blood liquidity due to the lack of some necessary substances for blood clotting. Hemophilia may cause death, especially in childhood stage. And the symbols that we are going to use is X, H capital, or X, H small. So normal female with pure characters and diseased male will produce, after going into the process of inheritance by forming the gametes and the first generation, we will have X with H, X with H small, X with H capital Y, X with H and capital Y. So we have different types of individuals, as we saw in the first example. Now another title, which is sex-influenced trait, and these traits are due to the presence of some genes located on the autosomes but not sex chromosomes. And these genes need the environmental conditions to show their characters or to appear or present itself. And these environmental conditions are the sex hormones. So the genes found on the autosomes, some of them need to have the male or female gamete to show the character. So they are influenced by the male or female hormones. Examples for this case: the presence of hormones in cattle and in baldness in men. In this case, we don't speak about the sex chromosomes, but we speak about the sex hormones. And this example, as you see, the parents, the female, for baldness in human, we use the letter B for baldness, and if the gene is present in dominant case, we put plus or star or any sign, and we have hybrid female with B positive and B, and the male the same genotype. After having the gametes, we will have different genotypes for the individuals. Look at the resulted individuals. If the male is B positive, he will be bald, but in the female will be hair fall, just hair fall. And if the genotype is hybrid, in the male will be bald, but in the female will be normal. And the last one, B, will be normal for male and female. My dear students, I hope you could benefit from this episode, and until we meet again, goodbye.